Yay!
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Bryan King.
I'm Andy Childress.
And today we're going to talk about self-publishing and also a little bit about Ramen Noodles because often they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And help get y'all through the lean times and show you the path to hopefully the better times.
Yay. Tell them your website and I'll tell them my website.
neo-earth.com is where you can see my comic books, and I'll hand out cards after the talk. Also, Neo Realms Entertainment. You can see a lot of the stuff we're working on. Started out in comic books, and I moved on to video games and card games and stuff like that. So we're going to touch on a little bit of all of that. And Andy?
I'm BubbaWolrd Comics with an X at the end. I forgot my cards.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So you can come by Artist Alley and find some if you want to. I write and draw 6 humor strips that were on the website, but I've changed it to a gag a day comic. Now I'm making those into books where you can just get the whole story at once instead of waiting 8 weeks just to get a 4-parter. And I've been doing that forever on the interwebs, and I'm self-publishing books with them also, and I write sci-fi on the side, and I don't have time to draw a graphic novel, so I'm currently going to do a novel I wrote as an illustrated novel.
So, very cool. We have our little display on the TV over there.
There we are.
neo-earh, Phone, Tower Charge, Neo Realms Fishing Camp are some of the stuff that I've been working on. neo-earh is the webcomic, which we're probably going to focus on webcomics more than anything else. At the bottom right is our Neo Realms Fishing Camp, and I believe that's a little over 10 years old. The New York Times did an article on us with top 10 virtual vacation spots, and we made it in there, and that really helped us out. And it was funny because that was the first time my parents actually said, "Why are you in the New York Times?" So it was kind of stepping over from stuff that we were just very passionate about to actually making a little bit of money off of it and helping to pay the bills. Let me jump to the next one, Andy. I'm going to break down a lot of the places that you can go to host your comics, and then we're going to talk about format. And I'm going to get into a lot of the technical things. I'm actually an art teacher by trade, and I love it. Been teaching at St. Martin High School for about 15 years. And the high school kids now have resources that I only dreamed of. And especially when they start talking about programming, I'll help them out as much as I can. But then they'll get into the math behind actual gravity and orbits and things like that. And I'll be like, you've actually stepped a little bit further than I can help you with right now. But this stuff we can help y'all with. Comic Genesis, The Duck, Comic Fury are all different sites that will host your web comic when you start doing it. I personally didn't go that route. We did this. We have our own servers and we publish our own stuff. Most of them will do it for free, and they make their money on advertising, which we will talk about a little bit later. Some of them will take a small percentage if you decide to do a pay site. It's very hard to get someone to pay for digital comics right now because there's so much high quality stuff out there. So my personal advice would be to look at advertising, because if you can get about 100,000 hits a day unique, then you can make a living off of it. Andy, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I actually host my site on a Weebly.com site. They're free. You can upgrade them, but the main part is they're free. So you could go to BubbaWorldComics.weebly.com, but I have the host name BubbaWorldComics.com that goes right to it. It's drag and drop. You know, if you want to text, drag it. You want a picture, drag it. Put it in there. It is easy for somebody. You need no computer knowledge. Just all drag and drop. It's free hosting. I think they may add some ad at the bottom. I haven't seen any. I actually add ads to my own site and WordPress. That's where I keep my archives. I have an archives for every WordPress site for every archive of comic I do.
Cool. Next. Okay, we're going to talk format for a little bit. You need to decide early on what you want it to ultimately become. If it's just a webcomic, a lot of the long formats work better because that's what our screens are. The first one you see from Kablam, which I'll talk about when we talk about printers, is if you were going to do a traditional like Marvel or DC type comic and it was going to come out, you want to have something in your hand to sell at conventions. So you might start out that way. If it's always going to stay digital, the ones on the right, so some of the more Sunday morning type print and press. I've always enjoyed doing both because I like having something in my hand. For some reason, people will respond to that better than if you just put up a screen and say, well, this is the work that I do. And I know Andy can talk to you about actually printing in newspapers, which is awesome, and I wish I had done more of.
For 4 years, I printed a self-published 4-page newspaper with nothing but comics and ads, put them out for free in the surrounding counties in central Mississippi, if it can work there, anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I eventually moved to the web because I went from paying $300 a month for 5,000 copies and spending the gas taking them around and selling the ads for that. Yay! Wait a minute, this is my booth.
Now, whenever you're doing these things, don't let people tell you if you're in Mississippi or Alabama or Florida
I'll talk to you later.
that it's not going to work, because Mississippi itself has tons of different publishers, printers, or self-printers that it really doesn't matter where you're at right now. I know a lot of our friends that are working for Marvel and DC that have moved down to Mexico because cost of living is much better than a lot of places in the States. And if you have an internet connection, you can work for any of the big companies now.
Yeah. But the $300 a month versus $15 a year for my website name.
Yeah.
I went with that. So my ads, I actually sell locally and put them on my website next to my archive comics on the page. I make like $10 a month off of each ad, but I have a part-time job and it makes me a little extra money. And I put them in my books also. So I went away from the click on demand to just just people wanting their ad cheap. So I do that. And the way I draw my comics, I take 11 by 17, and if it's one panel, I use the whole thing, come in half an inch. If it's 6 panels, I use the whole thing. They're all uniform. When I put them in the book for print, they stack on top of each other perfectly. When you print, they're like that on the page, perfect. When it's on the web, it's perfect. You can get the whole thing pretty much on the thing.
Technical stuff, I'm going to wait and talk with you one-on-one later, because we can talk all day about the technical things. But CS2 Photoshop right now is free at Adobe Photoshop, or the Adobe website. I highly recommend getting that one, because even though they're up to CS5, if you're just doing sequential art, it does everything you need it to do, and you don't have to pirate it. So it's nice to have a legal copy. Project Wonderful, okay? Now you found a place to host your comic. You decided what the format's going to be. You need people to actually view it. That's the hardest thing. Marketing is tough. Project Wonderful is my personal go-to for anything that we're doing, whether it be games, comics, because they will advertise literally any website out there. And the way it works, you probably can't see all the little technical things, but you can refine your search for genre, number of unique hits, areas, and this is not just the United States, it's worldwide. I know some of our stuff gets big followings in Japan, which is awesome. I wish I spoke better Japanese. But you check these sites out and then you'll bid on the site. So you'll say, well, you know what, I'm willing to spend $1 to show up on their banner at the site that gets 20,000 unique hits a day. And you can also get really creative. Some of the ones that are like $20 an hour or on these things, you can say, well, I only want to be there on 15 minutes at 4 o'clock when I know people will be checking it. It looks intimidating when you first look into it, but it's really not. It connects to your PayPal. And you can get a lot of people at your site for a very little bit of money if you're clever about how to spend it on Project Wonderful. The flip side of Project Wonderful is it's how you can make your living if you end up having a popular product, if people are going to your site. It will break down exactly who's coming to your site, when they're coming to your site, where they're coming from, what part of the world they're at, what part of the day they do it. It has more information than you'll ever possibly need, but it's super handy. And not only that, people will start bidding based on your unique traffic. And like I said, you want about 100,000 unique views a day is what you want to shoot for, and it can take quite a long time to get up to that, or if ever. But Project Wonderful can get you there.
No, because I go the hard route, and I like this. I want to do this, but I also am absent-minded and technically inept. Is this what you...
Go ahead. Yeah, this is just some of the technical stuff. We'll skip past that. Okay. Getting out there. Conventions are a great way to meet and greet people and get them to go to your sites and look at your products. Hello, the peoples. And plus, it's a lot of fun because let's be honest, you don't have a comic book artist and writer not be into the same stuff that their fans are into. Okay, the hardest part of being at this convention is sitting behind the table when you want to go out and see all the cool new products. People that I'm friends with, I will still geek out over their comics when they put stuff out, and it just blows my mind how creative some of the people that we've known for years can be.
Yeah.
But these are the podcasts. How many of y'all listen to podcasts? Quite a few, about half. They're great, especially if you're doing something creative, because you can kind of leave them on in the background. But they're also the way that you can get your voice out there. Podcasts are always looking for people to come on and talk. Okay, even some of the big name podcasts, they'll have slow days, and if you keep telling them, you know, I'm available if you ever need me, eventually you're probably going to get that call. And definitely by some of the smaller ones. Fat Man on Batman is Kevin Smith's. And have y'all heard a rumor that Kevin Smith might show up sometime this weekend? How cool would that be? So
I haven't.
I've heard that rumor, so we'll see. And Jason Mewes actually held the elevator for us. So Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, that was nice of him. But back on subject, Comic Corner, all these other podcasts, they go from really high-end hundreds of thousands of people to about 30 to 50 a week. So start off on those smaller ones and work your way up and do interviews and get to know people in the community, which if you're here, you're in a perfect spot to do that.
Cool. Next
You
one.
want to add to that, Andy?
No, you've done pretty good because I listen to stuff like that,
Yeah.
but I usually just hunt and search. I don't really have regulars that I go to.
Top web comic list. They can be your best friend or they can depress you on a Sunday evening when you need to pick me up. I've been, depending on how much I'm advertising, I'm either within the top 50 on some of these, or if I'll let a series slide, I'll drop down to top 100,000. So it varies widely depending on how much energy you put into it. One thing I will say, a lot of people fall into the trap. They'll realize there are ways around the voting system, and they'll think, well, I can just vote my product up to the top 10. If you do that, people will realize you're doing that. Okay, so try and earn your rating system. Don't ever take a shortcut because you'll get called on it. The people that run these places are actually very clever. But there's no reason not to get on them. Even if you're ranked low on these, it's not going to hurt your comic. Okay, and it's a good way to see how many people are interested and are going to your site. And it's also a good way to see how effective your banner is, because that's very important.
Next.
Yeah. Kablam! We're going to talk about Kablam. neo-earh that you see in the bottom left is a book that they published for me. Took about 6 years to put the full graphic novel out. And Kablam is in Orlando, Florida, so not too terribly far from here. They are literally upstairs right
Yes,
now?
in the Artist Alley toward the north.
Yes.
Oh wait, west. Which street?
They're upstairs.
They're that way. They're that way upstairs.
Kablam's, they're not only a great group of guys, they have the best printing quality for the price around. And if you look around a lot of these independent publishers that you'll see even at this convention, they go through Kablam. And I highly recommend it. You can get a full color book for under $2, which used to be unheard of. And you can literally print one book if you want to, or you can print thousands through them. So print on demand is the way to go if you want to take the leap from publishing on the web. to actually going to a hardcover. Yeah.
I'm going to add, I love the Kablam guys, but I did not know them before I started publishing. And I use Lulu.com, Lulu, which are really good. I've been with them for years. I've lost count, 10 or 12 books. The one I just did that I've got upstairs, I did through them. And they even give you a book calculator where you can put how many pages, what kind of paper, black and white or color, and you can find out the cost per book. So you sort of know what you're going into, and you can order one, you can order 100. And they give you a page to sell your books on. Now, I like Kablam. I just would have to retool everything I do to put a book together, and I'm lazy. And I may actually print the same book with Kablam, because it wouldn't hurt to have it in two places. You know, once I get everything retooled to where I can, because they do theirs totally different from the way I do a big PDF and just send it to the other place and then add the covers. So both of those are good, but the Kablam, you can literally go upstairs and talk to them right now.
Andy didn't realize that my slide presentation had Lulu next. He literally said everything I was going to say. They were great. The only thing I would add to it, if you're going to do the traditional Garfield type comic, Lulu has really good prices for that. I can't beat them. And not only that, Lulu will set up your own page so you can link to it and they can buy it directly from Lulu.
Yes.
And then they give you your cut, shows up in PayPal. They make it super convenient. And so Lulu, I even still go with Lulu on certain products. That was our Kingly Adventure cookbook. You see at the top left, it's a cookbook for mythological creatures, and they were the right choice for that. If you look at the bottom left, you can see Andy and I on YouTube promoting the show and cooking for everybody.
Yes.
I think
I was even promoting Misfits and Mayhem, a horror book that I put out.
That's right. And you can see to the far right the high-end studio that I work from. It's got a lovely view of the lake. I don't really dress like that often, but we were filming a bit for the YouTube show. And like I said before, the people that create these books, you can see my toy collection behind me, all still in the cases, and we're just the biggest fan as anyone else.
Yeah.
Briefly, I'm going to talk about printing games. We're over in the gaming area this weekend. We do a card game called Pwn. It's a lot of fun. Come play with us. We'll be there till about 6 o'clock each day. Free to play. We'll even give you some free goodies. Okay. And we've been having a good time doing Pwn. But Game Crafters, I know this is supposed to be about comic book art, but it's so easy to do games now, especially if you're going to tie them in with other products. Why not? They have everything you could think of. Anytime I'll come up with a new design or see a new game, they have the product to put it out there. And where it used to be $60-$70 for a game that you're going to make and produce and print on your own, a fraction of the price now, like a $20, $30, you can put a game out and actually compete with big names now. Like Cards Against Humanity is a great example of that. They're insanely popular now, and they do not do retail at all. If they show up at your local stores, it's because they paid full price for it, and then they're reselling it because they simply don't have to. Their market's out there. Most everybody's using the internet now.
Yeah.
Just showing you some of the games that we've come out with. Even coming from a comic book background, we put out Pwn. And Fenrir. That's my wife at the bottom right holding it up. It's like Christmas come early every time you get a new product in, whether it be a comic book or a board game, and it's just a really fun experience. And of course the best part of that is coming to conventions and playing with all the people that are like-minded. You want to talk about publishing? I only have one more slide left.
Oh, you gotta...
So do your thing.
Oh, I thought you... Ah, crap. Wait. Where was we at?
Now, but you keep doing this. Before Andy starts showing all of his really amazing products, He is colorblind. So the fact that he does such amazing color artwork blows my mind.
I'm back to yours.
You're back to mine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was ready for yours. The ramen noodle. We're going to come back to this.
Oh, okay. We'll come back to that.
Because the ramen noodles is a very important part of this.
Yeah, this is just a look. This is how I set up my books. This is literally what I save into a PDF. I leave 2 blank pages because who wants to buy a book from an artist and not get it signed and drawn in? So I leave a page, and the second blank page is just so the marker's going to go through. So, but talking about advertising. By the way, 3 Alarm Comics here and in Biloxi are great. They're on the floor. They bought ads, and I have 6 titles. So when I did the chapter break pages, I sold advertising. You know, like the comic books in the old days. I sold it, and it helps. And as you see, just 2 comics line up perfectly on the page, and like I was saying, and then one of those will be perfectly for the computer screen. So even if you're doing a graphic novel, you can instead of doing it the traditional way, you can consider splitting it in half and doing it like that. But when you're doing it, you can also advertise your own future stuff, like I did right there. I've got a hard book that a friend wrote that I drew, so I advertised my own self because I needed to get this book ready for this convention, and I didn't have time to actually go out and sell a lot of ads. So I had a Zack the Zombie Hunter humor book I'm in the middle of doing, so why not promote myself in my own book? But it's real easy just to make a PDF. All I gotta do is add an extra page, and that's the cover to the book, the front cover. And like you said, I am colorblind with red and green.
Why did you do the bus purple, Andy?
Yes, because I thought it was red. But the sky could be purple. I wouldn't know.
I know.
I thought it was dark blue. Here's the fun thing. I have one cover, and I didn't look it up, so I'm not going to try to... Well, I could find it while I'm talking. No, we'll talk about it. I did a cover, and it's one of the few times I didn't ask opinions on it. So the caveman was a flesh tone by luck. It was the third choice I made, and I thought it was right every time. I just looked up and got it. The green grass, I looked up and got green. But the green, the brown furs turned out to be a dark green. And the gray mountain and stonework turned out to be a different shade of green. So it was just green, 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 and I had no idea. So now somebody gave me a colorblind assistant. I can hover the mouse over it and see it. And I'll go to an old cover, like my next book, I'll go here. I know the bus is red. I'll click on it and see what numbers it is on the thing. And then go back and copy the numbers on the new book, and I know I've got red. Or I'll see what the numbers are on the flesh tone, and I know I've got flesh tone. I've got a BubbaWolrd globe that I left at the house, but for years it's been there, and I painted it brown and didn't know it, and it's supposed to be green and blue.
You know they do have glasses now that correct for red and green.
I saw those, but they're so expensive, and I wear them so little because I get, when's color change? Fall?
Yes.
I get fall twice a year. I get it in spring too, and I don't know which one's right. I told somebody, I get spring twice a year. And they go, what do you mean? I said, oh crap, it's fall. You only get fall. And somebody could be wearing a green shirt in the back of the room walking toward me, the colors start shifting and coalesce into a new color. And that's awesome. I've got certain shirts at home that look pew screen and gray simultaneously, and I don't know how to explain that. I don't see them that's not a shifting color. That's perceiving 3 colors at once. So I did a colorblind test, and some of the ones I should have missed, I saw, but they were solid, but in a 3D where the colors were, sometimes if the colors are right, it gives me a 3D effect. I don't explain that either. I saw a gift bag on the end of a table one day, and it was blue with some red triangles on top of it, and really the triangles looked like they was that far off the bag because it was just the right color that screws with me in the right situation. And I don't want the glasses. It's too cool being me.
Yep.
Yeah. And sometimes on paintings, I just go with it. If it's wrong, that's my style. You know. Although I would like somebody to say little Frankie is peach instead of green, and all your other characters are green instead of peach. I do like it when people point that out, because that had happened one time.
Little Frankie being Frankenstein, right?
Yeah, I have a Going Baddie comic strip, one of my mini titles, and there's a little monster about so big, looks like Frankenstein, but he's only about so big. That's little Frankie, the mad scientist, the pet bat, all the other critters in the castle. I did some colors on them, and I literally made little Frankie peach flesh tone, and I made all the other characters light green. And somebody came in and told me, and I was able to correct it. So I do like being corrected on that. But I thought about the glasses. If I had the extra money, it'd be interesting. But I wouldn't wear them that much. I think
We'll do a Project Wonderful one day. Get you some glasses.
yeah, we could do that. Let's go to this.
Okay. We'll do Ramen Noodles, and we'll start taking some questions. If you're going to go into self-publishing and you don't have a day job, you're going to need to know how to make that ramen noodle stretch, okay? And this is how I used to do it in college. If you can't afford things like microwaves, which will happen a lot of times early in your career, you can use a coffee maker, okay? A lot of people don't know this. In college, we cooked more things than you could possibly imagine in a coffee maker. Mm-hmm. But you don't put the grinds in, of course. You take your ramen noodles and you put them inside of it. And then you cut up whatever sausage that they have on sale, and then the mixed vegetables that they have on sale. It costs you almost nothing to have a wonderful meal. Put all of that in there and then run the water through just like you're making your coffee, and it will cook your ramen noodles. If it was a good week, you can put an egg in, but it has to be a good week, okay? If you get used to the egg, that's bad. You know that it is a luxury. And shake it a little bit when you drop the egg in. It'll evenly coat it, and it will taste delicious for like maybe $1 a meal.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how the ramen noodles comes in.
Also, I will tell you this, over the years I've had different jobs. A good friend of mine owned a hotel. He came to me knowing I was a cartoonist artist and said, come to work for me from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and we're in a small town. And he said, you'll have 5 hours I'm paying you that you can draw and write. And I did that for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. All joking aside, some of the really good jobs that are out there that a lot of really high-end artists have done, bridge tending. Some of the Marvel and DC guys that go bridge tending route. You can even get state retirement and healthcare. He's done Batman, redid the New Warriors, worked in a lot of amazing stuff. For most of his career, he was a fireman because they have such an incredible amount of time off. And
I currently deliver the local paper to 2 counties. I drive 14 hours one night a week, deliver all the papers, get paid over half what I used to get for a week. Visited students, and that's fine.
And do a good job too. But you learn a lot from the students. You learn a lot from teaching, and it's a huge benefit. And when you're refining your lectures, you're refining them because you're putting the work in to study it. Because the artists that are in it, just because they like to draw, they're only going to get so far. It is a lot of hard work. You have to put the time in. You have to do the stuff that's not.
So, first of all, I thought this was really good, and I appreciate your information. So, I've noticed that your main medium is web, but from time to time you go into print. I'd be interested in that transition where you you use the audience that you built through web, and you realize that there's enough interest and volume there that you can actually publish something in print.
Yes.
And how do you go about approaching that so that you don't bite off more than you can chew from sort of a print order standpoint? And how do you distribute it? And,
Sure.
And all that.
Yeah.
You want to hit that one first?
Yeah. Basically, living in central Mississippi, print does better than web.
Yeah.
A lot of people come by, like the book, they like what they see. They're not going to see it on the web anyway. I say, I got a website. Nah, I'd rather have this. So, and the people on the web, they may not buy it. And I've just switched to a daily gag-a-day comic that keeps people coming to my site, but I'm taking my collection book and I'm turning them into stories. They'll start coming out as short stories, so you won't get them on the web. You can't go to their archive. You have to get them. But if you're reading this other one, likes my style, like my humor, then here's something you can't get unless it's in the book.
Yeah.
And I go to like 3 Alarm Comics. I find bookstores. I'll contact libraries, and I'll do it small. If don't think you have to just go way out. You can do it around your counties and whatnot. You can set up book signings. You can use Facebook is a big thing. You can get a lot of free advertising, especially when I worked 19 years part time at as a radio disc jockey, and they would give me free advertising. But yeah, that is basically that's how I did it.
I'm going to crunch some of the hard numbers real quick for you because I'm a very technical kind of guy. If you started 15 years ago, it's a dangerous market because the least amount that you're going to print hard copy would have been about 2,000. You would have gone through printers in Texas, and you would pray that you could push that many books. And I know, was it about 97, Stephen, we did our first comic? We still have books to sell from that first print run so long ago. And I'm proud of that book, especially, a bunch of kids just starting out in college. We got it out there. And it opened the doors for us because we started going to conventions. We started meeting the right kind of people. And because you have to be beat into shape. There's no way around it. If you're only listening to people that are telling you wonderful things, you're not going to improve. Seek out the artists and the writers that are going to be completely honest with you. If you want to make a living doing the hard copy stuff, you have to find about 2,000 fans that are going to drop at least $20 on you every year. That is a good ratio, okay? So if you feel you have that, then you can start printing the larger stuff. But I said 15 years ago it was dangerous. Now it is not. If you go through the print on demand, you can order one book to hundreds of books.
I only got 30 for this convention.
Yeah, and you can literally order what you think you're going to sell at the next event, and it's not going to break the bank. And I highly suggest doing that. Start small and then work your way up.
If you sell all 30, take the amount of money that it costs to make 30, order 30 more, put the other in your pocket.
Yep. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And the comic books aren't a super cutthroat kind of deal. Most of us get along with each other, and someone that's coming up, it only seems cruel until you realize what their intent is. When they give you critiques, they'll say, well, you need to work on this, your anatomy's wrong, and you're learning to draw from anime. By the way, I love what you're doing, keep doing it. And they mean that. The more you have to work on, the shorter your critique will be. Okay? If you have a billion things wrong, they're just going to say, work on your anatomy. If they critique every little detail, it means you're getting really close to being what you need to be. Okay? So, yeah. Anybody else? Any questions at all? It can be about ramen noodle or... Yes, sir.
Well, I don't have to eat ramen noodles, but thinking about your thing about advertising in your comic books.
Yes.
I do mostly ebooks.
Yep.
Yes.
I sell a lot of ebooks.
Yes.
But you can make an ebook as long as you want. It
Yeah.
doesn't cost any different than
Yes.
sending out a file. And I was wondering if that would work in an ebook and you put covers of other books in there.
I don't see why it wouldn't.
Yep.
You could do it like the first page before it gets started. If you had a chapter break, you could like just put the simple chapter number and then just list advertising, and put an advertising on it or a future book. I don't see why it couldn't come.
And the other thing was your advertising on the web.
Yes.
I've tried that with books. I put down $500 one time for a vampire book that I had that wasn't one of my best selling, and I wanted to sell more. I had sold no more of that book after $500 in 2 months on what was supposed to be a big vampire site. And I figured they either thought it was Twilight or it wasn't Twilight. Either way, it was losing audience.
$500 would get you 2 years of advertising on my site, just about.
That another thing, a big argument with novelists right now, because when I go to conventions, I like meeting the other artists because it's fun. They don't get you jobs. If you're an artist, you need to talk to writers because they get you jobs. Writers need artists. Artists need writers. It's a mutually beneficial thing. They had a lot of big name writers start coming out and not doing the ebooks. They're not even coming out with covers. What they found, unfortunately, is that people need to have that visual stimuli to get them to place that order most times. So having a good visual support to it pulls them into that world. The book keeps them buying your stuff. So
that's what I'm wondering too, because I've sold 170,000. Books
that's awesome.
3.5 years. But I have some friends who've sold 3 or 4 times that number, and some of them have fantastic covers. I do my own covers. They're better than they were. I actually have one online that's that someone put out the worst 30 covers ever put on Amazon, and one of my covers is on.
Really? That's awesome, though.
It will always,
you got.
That's awesome. Don't take that the wrong way.
It will always be there because the cover's changed 4 times since then, but that one will always be online.
But you get free publicity. Oh, by the way, YouTube is a great way to promote yourself and have fun with it. That's why he's here. I just didn't want to leave a $300 puppet unattended. He interviewed Peter Davison this morning.
That's his 3rd doctorate, isn't it?
No, second. Colin Baker last year loved being interviewed by Roscoe. But he is heavy when you tow him around all day. Hello.
I think he should be the next companion, personally.
Yes. But yeah, I spent $300 on him. I'm a huge puppet person. He helps me with my videos. I've turned them over to him. Sadly, I don't know if that's says more about my mental health. Or the fact that the videos are started going back up. I don't know what's worse.
The writer conundrum, though, looking for good covers, I would of course recommend Andy or I, but really there's a gentleman here, Mitch Bird, who's been working in the business for so long. His art he's the artist, and he works for amazingly good prices for you. He'll give you an amazing deal.
What is his name?
Mitch Bird.
If you go to Artist Alley, as soon as you walk into the thing, go this direction and go all the way around to the back, and he's right at the beginning of where it starts straightening back. Bird. BYRD. If he's asleep, he's still drawing, so just wake him up.
And he's not kidding. The man can draw while he's sleeping.
Yeah, he'll be sleeping and his hand's still good. I've got a beautiful dinosaur with very faint lines all the way across because his hand started drifting. It's specifically a Mitch.
They really am looking for someone to do some aliens, because I do aliens and I don't need the Star Trek. Facial differences. They look.
You want aliens?
Mitch did for Dark Horse the Aliens and the Predator comics back in the day. So.
And his job of the HUD, or it was a HUD. He just did it for fun. Some test pages for Star Wars.
He had a bounty hunter jumping out of the mouth and killing someone.
Yes, it was beautiful.
So they gave us the whatever minute mark. I didn't catch it.
5 minutes.
Do we have any more questions? We love answering questions. Don't be shy.
We got 4 minutes.
We got 4 minutes.
That's an eternity.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So you talked earlier about the Project Wonderful and finding other sites to put advertisements on.
Yes.
What are the types of advertisements you find to be the most effective?
You find a genre that's close to what you're pushing, because even though you can get a lot of hits just by doing popular searches, like I saw someone with a Rainbow Dash on. The ponies are really popular right now, so you could get a lot of hits if you put something related to that genre. but you wouldn't keep them unless you actually have something that deals with that. So the most effective use, you find a genre that's close to yours and getting healthy hits, and then you'll put money on that.
So I'm sorry, I
Sure.
probably phrased the question wrong.
Okay.
So you find where you want to advertise.
Mm-hmm.
What type of advertising? Is it like a skyscraper?
I got you.
Visual ad? Is it an animated GIF? Is it just text?
You do an animated GIF, make it colorful. Even though the skyscraper ads will get you the most hits if you're dropping a lot of money on it, the little bitty ads, and I forget the technical names for all of them, but penny for penny, they'll get you the most hits. Because if someone is going to like Penny Arcade and reading their book over and over again, they're eventually going to slide down and click those ads. So it's going to happen. So penny for penny, the smaller ones, animated, colorful will get you hits. If you do it black and white, you try and be creative, you're shooting yourself in the leg, which drives me crazy because I grew up on those black and white Conan magazines and I love them.
Oh yeah.
All the Japanese books are amazing, but color sells.
Yeah.
And I know this is horrible. Stay away from green. Go with blue. And there's been so many studies on all the super technical stuff. This is stuff I'm into. So do the little colorful blue shiny ads. And then if you have to have hits right away, you do the skyscrapers and you start, instead of literally dropping pennies, you're dropping $10 a day. All these advertisements, you'll get hits right then really quickly, but it's not as cost effective. Yeah.
Any more?
Favorite ramen brand?
Ramen, top ramen.
Yeah, and I wish I remembered the name, but when I was living in Decatur, Mississippi, and I went to the store, somebody just introduced me to ramen. I was using there's one that starts with an M. Yeah, I like it the best, and the top ramen, but I went, and they had like this pack for 10 cents, and then I saw this pack I can't even remember was for 5 cents, and I said, oh my God, I'm saving, half the price. I bought a bunch of them, got home, ate one, and said, they need that 5 cents flavor. I threw the rest away. I wish I remembered it because that's the one you don't want. But if it's a ramen that's too cheap, there's a reason. Yeah. It's the flavor really needs that extra 5 cents. But you top ramen, I'm the
Do top ramen, always drop an egg in it.
Manchurian or whatever it is.
Yes.
My favorite in school was the ramen noodles and a can of tuna fish. Tuna was like 50
yes.
cents a can.
And even you can drop a little bit of mayonnaise once it dries out if you get all the liquid out.
So start to finish with the first poem,
Yes.
the initial game, how long about that take?
Okay, the Pwn, the games,
Yes.
play testing is everything. It was literally 4 to 5 years of play testing. And if you see the game, it's super simple. You learn how to play it like that. But you can't plan for the game that you're releasing. You have to plan for all the rules that are going to trickle in throughout the next 10 years. And that's what it took. Because Pwn has a huge list of stuff that will happen in the next few years. So 4 or 5 years. Yeah, they told us we're done.
They told us.
Thank you all, and we'll answer more questions. Just catch us. I'll be in the gaming. He's at the Artist Alley.
Yes, I'm on the far end over there. Look for the puppet.
Thank you guys. Thank you.